weeks ago, Michael Woods Jr. promoted a video clip of him being interviewed by Joe Rogan. The video was about Michael defending the criminal activities of the Black Lives Matter movement and their racist attack against white people. I was extremely shocked at how deceitful Michael was in that video, especially when discussing the criminal activities of Black Lives Matter. However, in this video, I'm going to take the talking points made by Michael Woods Jr. and destroy them with facts. I'm also going to show just how disingenuous he is when it comes to Black Lives Matter. Like Michael Woods, I too am an ex-police officer, so I will bring you the facts while Michael brings you fiction. So let's get started and hear what Michael has to say.
Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Because I know you got a bunch of notes there.
It's just that one of the big things that we see is everybody keeps fighting against the Black Lives Matter thing, and it's like we're not understanding what it is.
I think by now people have a pretty good understanding of what Black Lives Matter is all about. But just in case you don't, let me show you what Black Lives Matter is all about instead of telling you. Last year, around about 2015, I really didn't know much about the Black Lives Matter movement. I didn't know who they were and what they were all about. But when I saw how they aggressively bullied Bernie Sanders off the stage in Seattle, Washington, I quickly learned that this group wasn't about shit.
We thank you for honoring us with your presence.
This is as far as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders got into his Social Security speech at Westlake Park.
Thank you, Seattle, for being one of the most progressive cities in the United States of America.
Moments later, Black Lives Matter activists rushed the stage.
We are trying. We're gonna let you on the mic.
Activists who last year shut down a holiday tree lighting in the same park today prevented the most progressive candidate for president from speaking to thousands of people who came to hear him.
We are shutting. We will shut it down.
After about 20 minutes, Sanders' wife Jane appeared to give the signal it was time to go. Soon after, they left the stage.
It was just disrespectful.
This is when I lost all respect for Bernie Sanders. I mean, how can a man of power allow some hood rats to bully him off his own stage? I mean, if you couldn't handle that, how could you handle being the president of the United States of America? But Black Lives Matter got their asses handed to them when they tried to do the same thing to the first black president of the United States. That's right, folks, President Bill Clinton. Honey, let me tell you, not only did Bill give them the smackdown of truth, but he showed them that the devil is a liar. I call him Reverend Bill Clinton because he gave a good sermon that day, a sermon of truth. Watch this.
I like protesters, but the ones that won't let you answer are afraid of the truth. That's a simple rule. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid. I don't know how you would characterize the gang leaders who got 13-year-old kids hopped up on crack and sent them out onto the street to murder other African-American children. Maybe you thought they were good citizens. She didn't. She didn't. You are defending the people who kill the lives you say matter. Tell the truth.
In their place. Woo! We got church up in here. So now Black Lives Matter decide to up their game. And how do they do that? By blocking traffic on major highways. Yes, the leader of Black Lives Matter said, "How do we get our message across? I know! Let's stop hardworking citizens from getting to their jobs on time in the morning!"
This was the scene this morning. Thousands of irate commuters at a standstill, some getting out of their cars and taking matters into their own hands. One of the many angry drivers trying to get to work this morning was Tyree Landrum. In a moment that ended up going viral this morning, he got out of his car and pushed one of the protesters towards the center divider, wrestling his bullhorn away. The protesters were chanting, "No justice, no peace." Landrum wanted to send his own message. Many drivers felt the same sentiment, that the main injustice here was preventing them from getting to work in the middle of morning rush hour.
You guys don't have to go to work. They don't really know anything about the real issue, you know? They're just complaining about something that could be dealt with differently.
Meanwhile, many healthcare workers out of their cars and in their scrubs trying to get to area hospitals.
We have doctors and nurses who have the same life here, okay?
I gotta go to Ross right now, homie. When I get there, homie, I'm gonna get fired. I got 6 kids to feed, and these niggas Carlos. Day goes on, homie. He's out every day. Deal with it the right way, not like this.
The drivers on scene rejoiced when the CHP and STPD showed up in force.
Spend the night in jail. That's where you guys are going to jail tonight.
So since this was successful, they decided to take this unlawful scheme to other major cities nationwide. It was a hit and miss in certain cities, but in San Francisco, it really did some major damage. Black Lives Matter went on the San Francisco Bridge and stopped major traffic during rush hour in the afternoons. A lot of these people were just coming home from work, and some were probably going to work. You know how you get off of work and you just want to get home and rest, or you want to see your family. Well, a lot of these motorists didn't have that opportunity because they were held hostage on that bridge for over 5 hours.
Dozens of protesters were arrested Monday afternoon after taking over California's Bay Bridge. Demonstrators, led by Black Lives Matter, shut it down, chaining their cars across the 5 lanes of the span and bringing traffic to a standstill. It was a traffic nightmare for the thousands of people trying to get somewhere during rush hour. Here's how our San Francisco station KPIX, led by reporter Andrea Borba, reported the news on the evening broadcast.
Now, the protest spanned all 5 lanes of the westbound Bay Bridge, about a half a mile from Yerba Buena Island. The California CH Highway Patrol says 5 cars and 10 people used heavy chains to connect the vehicles to temporary cement barriers on either side of the bridge. It took bolt cutters to get through the chains and often several different tools just to get through one chain. CHP and Caltrans tried to reach the protest from the Emeryville side of the bridge, but found themselves too backed up and stuck in traffic. Here's what the CHP had to say about the protest.
The big difficulty was getting the bolt cutters here. We were able to do that within 15 to 20 minutes of our arrival. We were able to successfully cut the parties apart, and we were able to peacefully move them over the side. You know, we obviously didn't want, if we could avoid the minimum force usage, and we were able to do that. And they went cooperatively after we would cut them loose.
It's not fair. You know, I can understand, you know, the message, but the way they're going about doing it, that's not right.
No, it's not right, brother. It's really stupid to stand in the middle of traffic and stop innocent people from getting to their destination. People that have nothing to do with what you're fighting for. But don't worry. People started getting tired of Black Lives Matter shit. And since they were breaking the law by blocking traffic, drivers decided to break the law by running their asses over. I mean, those cars were bulldozing them down like Legos. And the next thing you know, they stopped blocking traffic. Imagine that. So after realizing that standing in the middle of a street or highway was a little hazardous to their health, they decided to take their protest to a much safer place, the mall.
And marksman charged with guarding the mall, Henry's skull, launching a federal investigation into Henry's murder.
By the way, this was done at a prominent mall in a white upper class area. You see, Black Lives Matter go after timid white people in the suburbs. They don't bring their asses to the hills where the rednecks shop. And they definitely stay out of the hood. Because if you think you're going to stop Shaquita from getting her hair done and her nails did, you better think again, honey. So that was also successful. And since they still were safe and they weren't getting run over or killed, they decided to go to another place full of white people. Another place safe. The library.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives Matter!
Do you know
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Do you think
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Do you think Black Lives Matter?
What is the point of getting the white guy's face talking about, do you think Black Lives Matter? Do you think Black Lives Matter? Like, what do you expect him to say? Hell no, I don't like no niggers. You need to get on the boat, go back to Africa where you came from and die. White power.
White power! Lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
The sad part about that protest is that this is probably the first time any of them have been in the library. So now Black Lives Matter goes from harassing white students at college libraries to harassing white people at exclusive restaurants having brunch.
A black person in America is killed by police, armed security guards, or self-appointed vigilantes.
These are our brothers and sisters.
These are our brothers and sisters.
Today and every day we honor their lives.
Today and every day we honor their lives.
Anthony Hill, 27, Atlanta, Georgia.
Ashe!
Tony Robinson, 19, Madison, Wisconsin.
Ashe! Please stand with us and raise your hands if you stand for Black lives.
Intimidating and bullying white people into submission was not enough for Black Lives Matter. As a matter of fact, one member decides to create racial tension by threatening the members of Black Lives Matter behind a bogus Twitter profile.
Students at Kane University react to this afternoon's news that these very threatening tweets, "I will shoot every black woman and male I see at Kane University," "I will kill all the blacks tonight, tomorrow, and any other day if they go to Kane University," and other similar tweets came from an African-American former student. Police say 24-year-old Kayla Simone McKelvey was participating in this days-long demonstration in the center of campus, supporting other colleges' black rights protests. Right here in front of the clock tower at Kane University is where this student protest was, and according to investigators, this young woman went there to the library, and that's where she set up the Twitter account. Using the handle KaneU against black, she sent the threatening tweets. Federal investigators say they'd been working no fewer than 5 fatal college shootings at the time. McKelvey has now been charged with third-degree creating a false alarm.
And Kayla McKelvey was sentenced to 90 days in jail. When she gets out of jail, she has to perform 100 hours of community service, and she'll be on 5 years of probation. Girlfriend, were the tweets worth it? So next we have Black Lives Matter activists successfully shutting down the lecture giving by Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo is a gay conservative journalist and speaker who is openly against feminism and social justice warriors. But Black Lives Matter decided that this gorgeous Brit had no right exercising his freedom of speech in our country, honey.
And the reason you can't see them is because they're not there. Nothing happens. I mean, hello, darling.
Sir, please,
do you need some help?
Sir,
Do you
please.
need some help?
Sir, please.
We'd like to ask you to please.
Sir, please.
Can we ask you to stop, please?
Sir. Sir.
Be good! What you got to say? What you got to say?
Have y'all noticed the demographics of Black Lives Matter? No? Well, I have. I noticed that Black Lives Matter consists of aggressive alpha black females and submissive beta black males. Since the black community as a whole does not embrace homosexuality, Black Lives Matter to me appears to be a black version of the LGBTQ organization in disguise, but extremely racist. So now it's time to get to the violent actions of Black Lives Matter. The next couple of minutes will consist of footage with extreme language and violence. And if this is sensitive to you, please click on the red box or the timestamp displayed on this screen. Now we'll see a Black Lives Matter member encourage other black people to go out and kill innocent white people. She also instructs black people to take guns from rookie police officers and kill them with it. I'm not going to show all of the footage because, first of all, it's just hard to watch, and the video is going to be long as it is. But here's a taste of what she said to the black community on YouTube.
We're going to fight back. We're not going to take it anymore. So right now we declare open season on a motherfucking cracker. All you motherfucking crackers, y'all need to watch your motherfucking heads. You need to protect your motherfucking selves because we coming for you. We coming for all you motherfuckers and all the descendants of you motherfuckers.
And that was the scene outside the Clayton County Courthouse as Latasha Ned went before Judge Dallas on charges including terroristic threats and criminal solicitation. Police say they arrested Ned after seeing videos of her online with a gun and a machete advocating bringing harm to whites and police officers. Ned's attorney told the judge his client was defending herself from someone who had threatened her and she was exercising her rights to free speech. In the end, Judge Dallas said Ned's language was inciting and was more than an expression of free speech.
You show two police officers and say it's open season on killing cracker cops. Does that fix the problems that we have in this country? Or does it add to the problems that we have in this country?
An Iraq War veteran is recovering after he was attacked and robbed at a McDonald's by a group of teenagers here in Washington, D.C. Police have released surveillance footage of the attack Friday night at the restaurant in downtown Washington in hopes that it will lead to the suspects. Sergeant Chris Marquez, a Marine who fought in Fallujah, says the group of teenagers started taunting him while he ate his meal, asking him if he believed Black Lives Matter. Marquez says when he didn't respond, they followed him outside where they knocked him unconscious and robbed him.
I found it very ironic because the person calling me the racist was the actual racist, and they have no idea about my background, what I did for this country, or what other people like myself, every day we do for this country.
Marquez suffered head and neck injuries in the attack. The story has received very little national attention, except on this channel.
Directly ahead, big scandal with Black Lives Matter. One of their big shots arrested for pimping, human trafficking. And this guy says he was invited to the White House for an event just days after the bust. Personal story segment time. Major scandal for the group Black Lives Matter. This man, 33-year-old Charles Wade, has been arrested in Maryland, charged with human trafficking, pimping. Police say he was running a 17-year-old prostitute out of a motel. Reason this is a scandal is because Wade says he was invited to the White House just 2 days ago after he was busted. Now, we don't know the timeline on that, but he was invited for a movie screening. We've called the White House and haven't gotten back to us. Also, this guy, innocent until proven guilty, so we all want to remember that, was the subject of a rather complimentary article in the Washington Post and even appeared on CBS News.
We moved to healing so quickly. Like, people are already after Ferguson, and I'm in Ferguson after Ferguson? Are you kidding me? How are we after Ferguson when when the very thing that got us here has happened 2 more times in 3 months? For some people, justice is a legal victory. That's not justice for me. To me, justice is equality and accountability.
And now Mr. Wade will find out if he will be held accountable by the justice system.
Everybody keeps fighting against the Black Lives Matter thing, and it's like we're not understanding what it is.
Oh yeah, Michael. We understand perfectly what it is.
It's not that we come out with things, all lives matter. Somebody wear a shirt, all lives matter. No shit. We understand all lives matter. That's the whole point of everything we do.
Right.
And they come out and they say, police lives matter. No shit. I don't know a life that's mattered more than a police life.
Michael, you may know that a police life matter, but Black Lives Matter doesn't care about the lives of police officers. You see, Black Lives Matter will never protest against the death of a black police officer. As a matter of fact, they would rejoice in celebration when hearing the news about a police officer who died in the line of duty. Their deaths brought joy and happiness to the militant group that you are defending. Deputy U.S. Marshal Josie Wells. Deputy Marshal Wells was a member of the United States Marshal Fugitive Task Force. He was killed in a line of duty while attempting to arrest Jamie Croom. Deputy Marshal Wells was part of a team executing an arrest warrant for Jamie Croom at a Baton Rouge hotel. Croom was wanted for gunning down 2 people at a Baton Rouge lounge a month before. Deputy Marshal Wells was shot in the neck during a gunfire exchange with Jamie Croom and died as a result of those injuries. Officer Verdell Smith Sr. Officer Smith was struck and killed by a vehicle whose driver had been involved in a triple shooting approximately 30 minutes earlier. Justin Welch pulled out a handgun and shot 2 customers outside of a restaurant in Memphis, Tennessee. Several citizens chased him on foot to a parking lot where he carjacked an innocent driver, shot him, and then fled away in the stolen car. Responding officers pursued the vehicle, which started driving the wrong way down B.B. King Boulevard. As the pursuit entered the area of a music festival, Officer Smith attempted to clear the street and sidewalks of pedestrians, but Justin Welch crashed through the barricade and struck Officer Smith with the stolen car. Officer Smith died at the scene. Sergeant Robert Francis Wilson III. Officer Robert Wilson was shot and killed when he and his partner interrupted a robbery at a video game store located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. On March the 5th, 2015, Officer Wilson was inside the video store as part of his regular patrol in the 22nd District. While there, he wanted to purchase a video game for his son as a gift for making good grades. Seconds later, Ramon Williams and Carlton Hipps entered the store and announced a robbery. When the two men noticed the police officer, they began to shoot at him. While Officer Wilson returned fire, he stepped away from the other customers in the store in order to keep them out of the crossfire. Officer Wilson was shot multiple times in the body by the two men, but it was Ramon Williams who fired the fatal shot to the officer's head that eventually killed him. Officer LaCorey Tate and Officer Benjamin Dean. Now, before you disapprove the inclusion of Officer Benjamin Dean in this lineup just because he's white, please know that I will ignore your objection. You see, Officer LaCorey Tate and Officer Benjamin Dean were patrol partners. It would be unfair of me to highlight Officer Tate's death and disregard Officer Dean's death just because he's white, especially since they were both killed by the same person at the same location and time. Officer LaCorey Tate and Officer Benjamin Dean were shot and killed while making a traffic stop in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The vehicle was occupied by Marvin Banks, his brother Curtis Banks, and his girlfriend Joni Calloway. As soon as the two officers approached the vehicle, Marvin Banks jumped out of the vehicle and began shooting both officers. After Officer Tate and Officer Dean fell to the ground, Marvin Banks got into their patrol car and drove away, followed by his girlfriend, Joni Calloway. Two Hattiesburg residents discovered the wounded officers lying on the side of the road. As soon as they noticed that both officers were shot, they immediately dialed 911 for help. Unfortunately, both officers died due to their gunshot wounds. Officer Randolph Holder. On October the 20th, 2015, Officer Holder and his partner were on patrol in the East Harlem section of Manhattan when they responded to a call of shots fired. The officers spoke to a victim who informed them that one of the males, who was later identified as Tyrone Howard, had robbed him at gunpoint and fled on a bicycle. The officers canvassed the area for the suspect and located him approximately 18 blocks away. Upon being discovered, Tyrone Howard opened fire on the officers and a gun battle ensued. Officer Holder was struck in the head during the crossfire. He was taken in critical condition to the Harlem Hospital Center, where he later died. Officer Holder immigrated here to America from Guyana at the age of 23. He joined the police force in New York during the month of July 2010. Officer Holder said that he wanted to give back to the country that gave him a chance to follow in his father and grandfather's footsteps of being a police officer. Major Greg Barney. On February the 11th, 2016, Major Greg Barney assisted the Narcotics Division of Clayton County Police Department with serving a no-knock search warrant at an apartment complex in Riverdale, Georgia. Unfortunately, Major Barney was not wearing a bulletproof vest at the time he volunteered to assist the officers. He was assigned to the perimeter while other officers served a warrant at the apartment. When officers bashed down the front door, Joran Ross ran out of the back door and encountered Major Barney. That's when Joran Ross shot Major Barney 4 times in the torso and arm as he continued to flee. A Clayton County officer confronted and shot Joran Ross during the chase. Major Barney was transported to Southern Regional Medical Center, where he died during surgery. His death came as a complete shock to everyone who knew him. Law enforcement officers from far and near came to St. Philip AME Church to say goodbye to their fallen brother. The next clip is really going to show the hypocrisy of Black Lives Matter. Now, before I play this clip, I want you all to know that I don't believe that the killing of this police officer was based on racism. I truly believe within my heart that it was friendly fire and it was an innocent mistake. But Black Lives Matter didn't touch this story, and this just goes to show you that no, Black lives don't matter if it's wearing a blue uniform. You see, they are famous for twisting and turning the deaths of black men into race bait. They, along with certain other media outlets, are famous for manipulating the emotions of black people to further their propaganda. But they didn't touch this story. You know why? Because it was a black life wearing blue. Officer Jakai Coulson. Officer Jakai Coulson worked as an undercover detective for the Prince George's County Police Department. On Sunday, March the 13th, 2016, Officer Jakai Coulson was off duty wearing regular street clothes when he arrived at the District 3 police station in Landover, Maryland. At the same time, Michael Ford opened fire on the police station and vehicles driving by. His brothers Elijah Ford and Malik Ford were also at the scene, laughing while recording the entire incident on their phones. 4 officers, along with Officer Coulson, exchanged gunfire with Michael Ford. A fellow police officer who arrived to the shootout a minute later mistaken the undercover detective as one of the perpetrators and fatally shot him. He died as a result of friendly fire. All 3 suspects were charged with second-degree murder, 6 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 9 counts of the use of a handgun in the commission of a felony, and other additional charges. Like I said, they could have easily taken this story and manipulated it into a racial incident, but they didn't. You know why? Because Jakai Coulson, although a black man, he was a black man that worked for the police department. The last death I want to feature in this clip is really directed to you personally, Michael, because this young lady had a lot in common with you. You see, not only was she a police officer, but she was also a member of the United States Marine Corps, just like you. Oh, and spoiler alert, this story does include the killing of a black woman. Do you think Black Lives Matter protested against her death? Officer Ashley Marie Guindon. Officer Ashley Guindon was sworn into the Prince William County Police Department located in Manassas, Virginia on February the 26th, 2016. The following day, the rookie officer reported back to the police department to start her first day as a patrolman. Meanwhile, Crystal Hamilton called 911 while she and her husband, Ronald Hamilton, were arguing in the house. Officer Guindon responded to that domestic disturbance call along with other officers. Upon arrival, she and 2 other officers were shot by Ronald Hamilton. Officer Guindon was taken to Inova Fairfax Hospital, where she later died. Crystal Hamilton had also been shot by her husband after placing the 911 call, but she was dead inside the house when the other officers arrived. Not only was this Officer Guindon's first day on the job, but she was only an hour and 30 minutes into her shift. Michael, how could you, with a clear conscience, support an organization who celebrates and promotes the deaths of police officers of all races? Black Lives Matter didn't care about any of those officers getting killed. They definitely didn't give a fuck about Crystal Hamilton's death, who, by the way, was black. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, the lives of black people who work for law enforcement don't matter. The lives of black people getting killed by other black people don't matter. Black lives only matter when the black person has been killed by a white officer. Other than that, black lives don't matter. By the way, Michael, did you notice what all these killers have in common? No? Let me give you time to think about it. they all were black men. Michael, you know, like I know, that the biggest threat that most police officers face on the street in most inner cities is not white folks, it's not Latinos, and it's definitely not Asians. It's black men. When I worked as a police officer, the people who were more likely to try to kill me, to try to stab me, to physically attack me was black men. And you pretend that this is not the case. But I'm gonna let you play dumb. So go ahead and proceed with your bullshit.
I don't know of a single cop that's been killed where the killer wasn't caught, which is embarrassing for our profession. Why do we always catch the ones that hurt our own? Maybe we're not trying hard enough in the other ones.
You are so disingenuous, Michael. How could you say something stupid like that? You know that when a police officer pulls a car over, they pick up their radio mic and call dispatch, letting them know their location, and they call in the license plate number, the make and model of the car, the color of the car, and tell dispatch how many people are in the car. This gives the police agency the identity of the owner of the car. The same goes for warrants. On every warrant, they know the suspect's full name. They know his race. They know his height, his weight, his age. They even know if he has any scars or tattoos. The reason why cop killers are always caught is because the police department knows the identity of the person who killed the police officer or officers. People who are randomly killed on the street or in their homes don't have witnesses to positively identify the killer. This makes it difficult to catch the person who did it. If the person who did the killing can be positively identified, they will be caught. And this goes for civilians as well as police officers. Criminals who kill police officers are always caught because their identity is known to the police department prior to that officer's death. And let's not forget that when an officer goes down, there's usually backup ready to catch the person who killed him or her. Ordinary citizens don't have backup. They don't normally have someone to catch the killer. But you know this, Michael, and you're pretending that this doesn't exist, and that makes you a piece of shit.
And we go around and we say these things, but the police, everyone comes to their aid when something happens to them. But when somebody says Black Lives Matter, we just, But what all they're saying is that in our society, Black lives haven't mattered.
Wait, what did you just say?
In our society, Black lives haven't mattered.
Our society? Okay, so since you are a white guy talking to another white guy, I'm going to assume that our society means white society. Well, let me tell you something, Michael. You see, a black life is more valued in white society than in a black society. You see, if you are a black person living in black society, you have to worry about getting mugged, carjacked, your home burglarized, stabbed, or even shot. Black people are 10 times more likely to get killed in a black society than a white one. So once again, Michael, you are wrong. You see, Black lives matter more in a white society than a black one. So shut the fuck up.
In our society, Black lives haven't mattered as much as the other lives. And that's clear when you see something like Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice, really, Michael, you want to go there? You want to act like you have no idea why the police were not indicted for the death of Tamir Rice? You really want to play that dumb card? To the general public who is unfamiliar with the training of law enforcement in the police academy, this may seem like a senseless shooting. You see, the general public is unfamiliar with the takedown procedures by police officers for armed suspects. Yes, Tamir Rice had a BB gun. However, he took the orange cap off the front of the gun to make it look like it was a real handgun. He went to the recreational center and he started pointing that gun at random bypassers. 911 dispatch told the 2 police officers who were responding to the call that a black male with a gray hoodie was pointing a gun at random individuals in the park. They didn't say a 12-year-old with a BB gun. They didn't say that. The media said that this was a lie. When the police officer arrived right where Tamir was sitting, Tamir got up and approached the passenger side of the squad car. That police officer immediately got out and told Tamir to drop his weapon. Tamir reached down into his waistband to pull out the gun, and the police officer immediately shot him and ran around the other side of the police car for safety. This may sound shocking, but this is how we are trained. This was the proper method that police officers are taught in the police academy when dealing with someone with a weapon. We have less than a second to determine if our life or the life of someone else is in danger. If we feel that our life or the lives of someone else is in danger, we can legally use deadly force to prevent this. That's how it is, folks. Sorry, but that's how it is. But Michael Woods Jr. knows this, just like I know this, because he was trained that way, just like I was trained that way. He's maliciously deceiving you so that you would think he's on your side, and that's why he's a piece of shit.
Because you know that doesn't happen to one of your kids. There's not a shot in hell that happens to my daughter or yours. No way. Whether they're a 12-year-old sitting with a BB gun in the middle of your street in front of your house, that is not going to happen.
You damn right it's not going to happen, Michael, because you know what your daughter has that Tamir Rice didn't have? A good father and a responsible mother. You know, no one in the black community is really asking themselves, why would a 12-year-old boy go get a BB gun, manipulate it so that it can look real, go to a park and start terrorizing people with it by pointing it at them? Why would he find this acceptable behavior? Well, you'll find the answers by looking at his parents. Tamir was the youngest of 4 children in a single mother home of Samaria Rice. While pregnant with Tamir in 2001, Samaria Rice pled guilty to aggravated robbery and assault. That same year, Tamir's biological father, Leonard Warner, was arrested for attacking Samaria with a knife. In 2010, Samaria Rice had her live-in boyfriend, Michael Wiley, arrested for domestic violence because he had been beating on her for 2 days in front of the children. Leonard Warner, Tamir's biological father, was arrested for domestic violence that same year for also abusing Samaria Rice. In 2012, Samaria Rice pled guilty to drug trafficking and possession. And 2 years later, old Leonard Warner went back to his favorite pastime of beating up women and went to jail for domestic violence involving his live-in girlfriend. And no, it wasn't Samaria. These were the parents of Tamir Rice. And you see, Michael, that's why your daughter will never go into a store, buy a BB gun, manipulate it to make it look like a real gun, and terrorize people, because she knows better. She has a good father and a good mother to teach her the difference between right and wrong. Tamir Rice wasn't that fortunate.
Because they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to handle that situation. We're going to approach her. We're going to see what's really going on. And they're not going to be a hero, because a hero is the person that goes up to Tamir Rice and approaches and tries to figure it out, risks getting shot because he wants to make sure he's doing the right thing when you take away a life or take away somebody's freedom.
If there are any law enforcement officers watching this video right now, did you just catch what this asshat just said? Let me play it for you again.
Because a hero is the person that goes up to Tamir Rice and approaches and tries to figure it out, risks getting shot, risks getting shot, risks getting shot.
Risk getting shot. This guy, who had the same police training as you and I, is saying, forget all that stuff you learned in the police academy. That's a bunch of malarkey. Talk to the person with the gun. Try to reason with them. And if they happen to shoot you and you die, well, yeah, you can't go home to your family, but at least you'll die a hero.
But we go and we treat Black lives like they don't matter. And when you are putting that, oh yeah, all lives matter shirt on, or oh yeah, police lives matter on, you're proving that police lives don't, that Black lives aren't mattering as much to you. Otherwise, you would just fucking say yes, they do.
We're fucking saying no to the Black Lives Matter movement, because Black Lives Matter movement doesn't care about black lives taken by other black people. And they definitely don't give a shit about black police officers who die in the line of duty. The Black Lives Matter movement is very selective of the black lives they give a shit about. So fuck them and fuck you.
We have this problem. Recognize it. Let's fix it. When I say that I want to team up with DeRay, so if I took a police commissioner job, the first thing I would do is say, DeRay, please come join me, please, because I need you. I need him. He's a community leader. The idea that we don't integrate people like him into our system is ridiculousness.
Did you just say that DeRay was a leader of the black community? You didn't say that, Michael. You didn't say that. Please tell me you didn't say that.
He is a leader of the black community.
Oh my God. You're such a dumbass. DeRay McKesson is not a leader of the black community. He's the leader of the Black Lives Matter movement, dumbass. The black community doesn't want to have anything to do with DeRay. Hell, this guy tried to run for mayor in the city of Baltimore. Oh my God, you're gonna love this story. DeRay decided that he's gonna run for mayor at the city of Baltimore, and he created this huge campaign to get elected for mayor. And he went from door to door, and basically in every home in the city of Baltimore. He shook hands and introduced himself to hundreds of Baltimore residents. And when it came for election time, DeRay only got 2% of the votes. Only 2% of Baltimore residents wanted DeRay as their mayor. 2%. Man, black folks don't want that Negro as our leader. What's wrong with you?
He is a leader of the black community.
No, he's not.
I need him if I'm going to run a police agency. And we should not be turning those kind of people away.
Asking a weasel like DeRay McKesson to help run a police department is like asking ISIS to help run a gay pride event.
They live in an area that has food deserts, that doesn't have good schools, where the kids ride MTA buses to go to school, where life is, and their parents their father gets locked up because he has that dime bag and he perpetuates the cycle, but yet society keeps telling them, oh, well, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. They don't fucking have bootstraps.
We do have bootstraps. I grew up poor in the ghettos of Washington, D.C., Anacostia, Southeast, to be exact. Unlike you, Michael, I grew up in a dangerous city under a physically and verbally abusive mother. In between the abuse, I would escape into my daydreams and think about the future. I was determined to get out of the ghetto. I hated the circumstances and the conditions that I was living in as a child. I knew within my heart that I was going to leave the ghetto and never come back. Decades later, I sit before you, a successful black woman. I own 3 successful businesses. I travel all around the world. I have a condo in Germany and a house in America. I speak 2 languages and I am financially secure. Racism never stopped me from achieving my goals. White people never oppressed me. As a matter of fact, most of the people who helped me achieve my goals were white. The only race that tried to sabotage me and prevent me from achieving my goals was my own race. I live in the best country in the world, America. And because I live here, I am afforded the opportunities in this country that I am not given in other countries. I am not a victim because I'm black. I'm not inferior because I'm black. I don't need any fucking handouts, and I don't need no pity party. I made it out of a fucked up condition because I am an American and I am given the opportunity to achieve goals as long as I aim for them. And nothing stopped me. No white person, no racism, and I was not held back because I'm black. And for you and the members of Black Lives Matter to spew this bullshit that the white man is keeping the black person down in the 21st century is simply bullshit. I am an example of what you will achieve when you use hard work, determination, and accountability for your actions. I'm going to end the video now because I don't want to play into the stereotype of an angry black woman. By the way, there is one good thing Black Lives Matter has done. They made it acceptable again to say the word black instead of African American. Ugh. Thanks for watching. Peace.